The story starts with a man named Yossi Ginsberg who tells us about a true experience from his life. After completing 3 years of military service, Yossi decides to leave his home country Israel in the year 1980. He felt that he didn't want to follow the usual life path that many people around him do, like finishing school, getting a job, and then getting married, and then eventually winding up raising kids. This kind of life seemed too ordinary and predictable for him. He dreams of something more exciting and something more adventurous. And with this desire in his heart, he travels to a remote mountain village in Bolivia, South America. During his travels across South America, he boards a small boat to continue his journey. As the boat was almost at the center of the river, a man standing nearby suddenly shouts at the boatman and asks him to wait.
Wait, espera! Espera, please! Wait!
The boat turns around to pick up the man, who introduces himself as Marcus. Marcus is a school teacher from Switzerland and has also a big interest in adventure, just like Yossi. Later, Yossi and Marcus find themselves deep in the jungle, surrounded by thick trees and wild nature.
This is not bad.
They were part of a group of travelers known as the backpacking community, people who explore countries with only a backpack and a strong sense of curiosity. That evening, Marcus and Yossi talk for hours and begin to build friendship, sharing stories about their lives and why they were traveling. The next morning, they head to a nearby city where a lively festival was happening. Marcus suddenly recognizes someone in the crowd. It was his friend, Kevin Gale, a photographer who was also passionate about traveling. Kevin was thrilled to see Marcus, and he quickly becomes friends with Yossi as well. The three men, Yossi, Marcus, and Kevin, realize that they all have something in common: a love for exploring South America. They sit together and talk about their past lives and their future plans, and that night something unusual happens. A local girl keeps looking at Yossi, catching his attention. Curious and interested, he decides to follow her, and they end up spending the night in her tent. The girl prepares a traditional drink called San Pedro, which is known for its strong effects on the mind and imagination. Yossi drinks it, and soon he starts to feel the effects. His mind feels light, and everything around him starts to feel magical. They lie down together, letting their thoughts wander and their imaginations run wild. And at one point, they share a kiss, and the night ends in a dreamy and emotional mood. The next morning, they wake up lying on a hammock, with their heads at opposite ends. The girl was quietly reading a book, and she finds a line that deeply touches her, and the quote says, "It takes time to live," and she reads it out loud, and both of them think about its meaning.
I think I should send this book to my father.
Yossi then opens up and talks about his dreams, his wish to keep exploring, and how he feels drawn to an adventurous life rather than a normal one. On October 15, 1981, Yossi was in the city of La Paz, Bolivia, and it was the time of a large festival, and the whole city was full of excitement. People were dancing in the streets, loud music was playing everywhere, fireworks lit up the sky, and the smell of food fills the air. Yossi walks around the city by himself, enjoying the atmosphere, and while he was walking, a white man approaches him and starts a conversation. This stranger shows Yossi a picture of a mysterious place that only he knows about, and he talks about a hidden tribe deep in the forest called the Tormones Indians. This mysterious story captures Yossi's attention and sparks his curiosity. Later that day, Yossi meets up with Marcus and Kevin and tells them about everything the stranger said about the lost tribe. Marcus and Kevin were doubtful, and they don't think the story is true and plan to go back to America soon. But Yossi feels strongly about it.
You're doing this?
I'm gonna do it.
Hey, you'll see I'm right.
Cancel your flights home.
You're being stupid, Yossi, okay?
Wow. Kevin telling me he's crazy.
After some hesitation, Marcus and Kevin agree, and the next day, the three men meet the stranger, who introduces himself as Carl. Carl says he's been to the forest many times before and shows them a map of Bolivia. He points to a hidden location in the jungle near the Rio Colorado, where he says the lost tribe lives. According to Carl, they need to fly to a place called Apollo, and they then head toward a forest village called the Astriamas. Carl was very convincing, especially when talking to Kevin, who dreams of becoming a famous photographer.
There, you take photos, they get you straight into National Geographic.
After the meeting, the group sits together on the sidewalk in La Paz, eating ice cream and talking about what Carl said. Kevin was excited about the opportunity to get recognition for his work, and Marcus was still unsure but eventually agrees to join the adventure after his friends encourage him.
Yeah, okay, fine. Okay. Yeah! Yes!
The next step is getting ready for the journey. With Carl's guidance, they buy food and supplies, and Carl tells them not to bring items like wallets or watches, which might be risky or useless in the jungle. They pack their things in a box and prepare for the trip. Yossi, however, decides to bring something special with him, a small booklet that once belonged to his uncle.
What's that? This my uncle gave to me.
His uncle carried it during the war, and before he passed away, he gave it to Yossi as a lucky charm, and Yossi believes that it will protect him. On November 4, 1981, the group flies to Apollo, and their adventure officially begins.
This is the last frontier on Earth.
As soon as they arrive, they start hiking through the forest. Carl walks in front, guiding them and talking about his love for nature, and he shares his ideas about how people always try to control everything, which he believes is a mistake. Along the way, they see animals they have never seen before, and Kevin starts taking photographs of everything. That night, they make a bonfire, and Carl speaks about tribal people and how they might look simple, but in reality, they are very wise and advanced in their own ways. Everyone listens closely like students in a classroom. That midnight, suddenly, something unexpected happened, and a large moth flies straight at Marcus, scaring him badly and causing chaos.
Ah! What is it? Something hit me. What? I don't know. Something...
What?
The next morning, everyone laughs and jokes about the incident, but Carl becomes serious and tells them to move quickly because it's going to rain. They don't believe him at first because the sky was clear, but a few hours later, heavy rain pours down, proving Carl was right. They end up drying their wet clothes by the fire that night, and when they ask Carl how he knew about the rain, he simply replies, "I know everything."
Yeah, I bet you can talk to the animals too, yeah?
To monkeys I can.
As the journey continues, they spend another day hiking without a clear path, and Carl moves too fast and the others start to fall behind. Marcus calls out for them to wait, but Kevin and Yossi push forward, and suddenly they hear strange noises which scares them for a moment. But then, a local man appears with a bull and they ask him for directions. And then he points them toward their location. They follow the path and find Carl standing at the edge of a cliff, looking at the locals below. Yossi becomes angry and tells Carl that he should not have left them without saying anything.
Hey, next time you're gonna wander off without us, let us know, okay?
I didn't know I was supposed to hold your hand the whole time.
And after this short argument, they climb down the cliff and arrive at the village. Later, the three friends go to bathe in the river, and they felt very shy because many villagers were watching. That evening, the villagers offer them a special wine, and Yossi tries it, but the taste was so bad that he almost throws up.
Like if you mixed puke and shit, it would taste better than this. Let me help you there. Okay.
The next day, an old woman brings her grandson to Marcus, asking him to treat a wound. Marcus helps, and soon many other villagers form a line, mistakenly thinking Marcus is a doctor. The next day, they leave the village and continue exploring. While checking the stones they picked from the river, Yossi finds a piece of gold.
Hey! I found gold!
Soon after, they come across a group of colorful butterflies, and Kevin captures the moment with his camera as Yossi carefully walks toward them. Carl then talks more about his beliefs, and he says that the world has many problems, but no one listens to his ideas for solving them. While walking, they see a monkey playing in a tree.
Monkeys.
But without thinking nor warning, Carl shoots it.
Carl, just shoot it! Just shoot it!
The others were shocked, but Carl says that they will eat it because the monkey meat tastes good. Although the idea makes them feel sick, they end up eating it because they were hungry. That night, Carl warns them about jaguars, which are also hunters of monkeys, and he notices Marcus is weak and cooks rice for him. The next morning, Marcus still feels tired and weak, and later in the day, he falls while walking. Carl tries to treat Marcus's swollen foot, which looks infected and painful. Shortly, Kevin becomes frustrated, worried that they won't reach the tribe before the rainy season. That night, Marcus feels the tension between himself and his friends, and he tells Kevin and Yossi he's sorry for slowing them down, but Kevin walks away and Yossi follows him into the tent, and outside they hear Marcus crying, feeling sad and alone. The following day, Yossi and Kevin talk to Carl about their situation, and Carl tells them that they still need 3 to 4 days to reach the tribe. Yossi suggests that they return to the village and build a raft to travel by river instead, and Carl doesn't agree with this plan, and he offers to go alone and find help, but Kevin doesn't trust him and thinks he might leave them behind.
No, you're not going anywhere. We're not staying here without you.
When Marcus joined the group, Kevin tells Carl that they have decided to build the raft and continue without him. Carl wasn't happy, but they all begin working on the raft using tree branches. When the raft was ready, Carl advises them to stay close together and follow his instruction to stay safe. At first, the raft works well and they move smoothly down the river, but when they reach some rough water, things get dangerous. And Carl becomes angry at Kevin for trying to take control, and a heated argument breaks out. Meanwhile, the raft shakes in rapid current, and they barely make it through the wild waters.
So now you're giving orders? You can't just listen to Carl? Shut up.
After finally reaching the riverbank, Carl starts arguing with Kevin. The situation gets tense, and Carl, clearly angry, storms off into the forest, saying he's going to hunt. While Carl was away, Kevin and Yossi rest for a while. During their conversation, Kevin shares something important. Carl is actually scared of water because he doesn't know how to swim.
I had no idea what he was doing. He can't even read the river. Carl can't swim.
This worries Yossi, and he starts to think that Carl might leave them behind in the jungle. Feeling nervous, Yossi decides to follow Carl. Yossi walks deeper into the forest to find him, but something shocking happens, and Carl suddenly fires a gun. Yossi was almost hit, but thankfully he isn't hurt, and Carl quickly says he only fired the shot to scare away a jaguar. Though shaken, Yossi isn't sure whether to believe him or not. The next morning, the group gets ready to continue their journey on the river, but Carl refuses to get back on the raft.
Go ahead, good luck. I'm walking out from here. No more river for me.
And he insists he will walk through the jungle instead. And while they all think about what to do next, Kevin tells Yossi that he would rather keep using the raft. For him, it's easier and more comfortable than walking, and Yossi agrees and they decide to continue rafting. However, they both worry about Marcus, who doesn't seem to be doing well mentally and might cause some problems. When Yossi talks to Marcus about the new plan, Marcus says he wants to stay with them on the raft.
You know I love Kevin, but he's crazy. That is insane.
But Yossi gently convinces him to go with Carl instead, and he explains that Carl knows the jungle well and could get them out faster by walking. Marcus believes them and agrees to follow Carl, and before they separate, Carl warns Kevin and Yossi to be extra careful when they reach the rapids. He tells them never to enter the canyon, and then Carl gives them enough food for their journey, and the group splits into 2 teams.
Good luck, Kevin.
Yeah, you too.
And be safe.
They all say goodbye to each other and walk in different directions. At first, the river was calm and peaceful, and as the raft moves gently over the water, Kevin talks about how he hopes to be home in time for Christmas, but their peaceful moment doesn't last long, and soon they come across dangerous rapids.
Kevin, what do we do? There's the beach, go!
Kevin tries his best to control the raft, but the strong current pushes them onto a huge rock, and the raft gets stuck. Kevin grabs the rock tightly and makes a decision. He's going to swim to the nearby riverbank and help Yossi from there. But before he can act, a huge wave crashes into them, and Yossi falls into the rushing water. After a terrifying struggle, Yossi manages to survive. He swims to the shore, gasping for air, and stands up, calling out for Kevin. But Kevin was nowhere to be seen, and Yossi realizes he has been carried far away by the current, and is now completely alone in the Amazon jungle. That night it started raining, and Yossi has no shelter, and so he sleeps under a tree, wet and cold. The next morning something gives him a bit of hope, and he sees his backpack floating in the river. He quickly grabs it and holds it tightly, with some of his belongings saved. He begins searching for Kevin again, but after hours of walking and finding no trace of his friend, Yossi gives up. He writes a note for Kevin, hoping he might find it, and chooses to continue alone. Yossi doesn't have any training to survive in the jungle, but still he refuses to give up. He eats wild fruits and protects himself from dangerous animals, and every day he moves through thick plants and trees trying to find a way out, and at night he dreams about being in a city again, eating delicious food and sleeping in a warm bed. Even though he feels scared and worried, Yossi keeps moving forward, hoping someone will come to rescue him. But as the days go by, the loneliness starts affecting his mind, and he begins seeing things that aren't real, hallucinations of his friends talking to him. His situation becomes worse when he finds a worm living under his skin. He has to cut his skin and pull it out. And one day, he was so hungry that he eats rotten eggs that he finds in the forest. Later, Yossi discovers ancient ruins, signs of a long-lost tribe. But sadly, no one was there. When he checks his map, he finds out he's in a place called Curry Playa. He is still far from the city of Rarina Blake, and he wants to keep going, but his feet hurt badly, and every step felt painful. While looking at his wounds, Yossi starts to remember how Marcus used to complain about the same pain. He felt sorry for not understanding Marcus before and apologizes in his heart.
I'm so sorry, Marcus. I didn't know. I was more scared than you. Because I'm a coward.
One day Yossi sees footprints and becomes excited, thinking someone else is near. But after following the prints, he realizes that they are his own, and he has been walking in circles. This breaks his spirit, and he has a mental breakdown, and he starts believing he'll never make it out alive. On the 14th day of his journey, it begins to rain again, and Yossi goes back to the river and hides under a tree. He hugs his small diary and prays that it might somehow help him survive. Meanwhile, Kevin is found by a local tribe in Ruina Baki, which is about 120 miles away from where Yossi is. Kevin was weak and exhausted, but slowly recovers. Once he feels better, he tells the local police that his friend is still lost in the jungle and asks for help to find him. Kevin joins the police on a helicopter search, and as the plane flies over the jungle, Yossi sees it and starts yelling. But the thick trees hide him from the view, and Kevin doesn't see him.
Hello? Wait! No! Wait! 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 No! Don't! No! No!
The plane flies away and Yossi feels more helpless than ever, but Kevin refuses to give up, and even when an officer tells him that it's impossible for Yossi to still be alive, Kevin stays strong. He believes Yossi is out there waiting to be saved. The officer sees how serious Kevin is and introduces him to a local man named Tico, who knows the jungle well. Kevin meets Tico and explains everything, and at first, Tico was unsure about going back into the jungle, but he finally agrees to help.
Crazy gringo.
But really, I need it.
While this happens, Yossi meets a sacred tribal woman in the forest, and to show he means no harm, he shares his things with her and promises to keep her safe. And for a moment, Yossi feels comforted by her presence.
I'm going to protect you. Oh, okay. I'm just checking.
But when he wakes up the next morning, the woman was gone, and though disappointed, Yossi stands up and keeps going. He finally sees the sunlight after many days of darkness. But his relief doesn't last long. He gets stuck in a muddy swamp and passes out from weakness, and when he wakes up, he uses the branches of a tree to pull himself out. Sadly, he had to leave behind his backpack and also his other things. He climbs a tree hoping to see a way out, but he gets attacked by ants and climbs down quickly. He runs back to the river once again. And on the 19th day, Kevin and Tico reach the area where Yossi is. But Kevin doesn't see him because Yossi was lying behind a large rock, too weak to stand. Just when Kevin was about to give up and turn back, Yossi hears the sound of the boat.
Wait.
And using the last bit of his strength, he barely stands up and weaves, and Kevin sees him just in time. He jumps out of the boat and rushes to help his friend. He shortly saves Yossi and takes him to a nearby village where he can finally rest and heal, and at the end of the film we learn more through the epilogue, and Kevin later tries to find Marcus and Carl, but they are never seen again. Authorities reveal that Carl was already wanted for crimes, and his story about a lost tribe was all a lie. Kevin continues his life of adventure and photography, and he eventually settles in Israel with his family. Yossi chooses to return to the Amazon and make it his permanent home, and because of his efforts, the local people build an eco-lodge that helps the area grow. Yossi continues to live with purpose, following his passion for adventure and nature, and that's the end of Yossi's true story.